Back to Zengeon, video number 3 on the Nintendo Switch. I have my Philips headphones right here with the internal mic that I'm recording on my laptop right now. I'm going to do one more video with Zenlong. I might give this game a longer run. I figure I got another half hour to the football game starts, so let's see if we can go a bit deeper with this guy. We're gonna go a bit deeper with this game, see how much progress we can make. I would give it a full hour, but I'm kind of playing it in chunks, just kind of get a feel for how the game is. I mean, I'm curious about how the pacing is because I do like it's like I said, it's an action game. You have 4 attacks and 2 special attacks you can charge up eventually. Like Diablo 3, it's got a cooldown system, but it gives you four skills you can mess with right away. So it's not like Diablo 3 where you might spend an hour trying to learn the first 3 skills you get to play with. Like, as I recall in Diablo 3, it took you about an hour to get your first batch of skills. Here, this gives you 4 right off the bat. See that? Yeah, there was a timer on the top. I guess there's a boss that will show up a couple of stages later. I'm kind of curious how this will work. What does the right stick do? Online co-op. We're not doing that. We're not playing online. Screw that. When I press the minus button, I get this menu here, but it does not pause the game. So it's still running in the background here. So can you pause the game? Yeah, that pauses the game with the plus button, so that's fine. So my A skills right here. It's my melee. B is my charge. Y is my sword throw. X is my ground pound. So it's kind of like what's her name. So this character does not have a ranged attack like the other character, like who did the chick with the cat ear headphones. She's a ranged fighter. This dude's a melee fighter. So I can just do I mash on I can hold down the A button and I just do this combo attack. So that's my main attack, I suppose. And throw the sword. And then while that little spinning sword is moving, I can use my regular attack to finish him off. Wrong button. There we go. It's not a particularly strong attack, but it's something. Give me that. Press L and the skill button to upgrade your skills. Okay, so L and A. Did I upgrade it? I can't tell if I upgraded it. Yeah, I can't tell if I upgraded it. Whatever. Let's see. Well, I can't see any of those menu options. That's not terribly helpful. Yes, it's not particularly helpful. Oh well. And smashing the vending machine doesn't get me anything. So I guess Bad Dudes has this game beat. Was it Too Crude or Bad? I think it was Too Crude where you can smash the soda cans. You can smash the soda machines. That was a Data East game that I actually played on the Wii, and it's apparently not good, but it made a bit of an impression back in the day. Because it was a sequel to Bad Dudes, essentially. Was it good? It doesn't really matter. It was a Bad Dudes sequel. I'm not sure it really matters. But it came out in the Sega Genesis Megadrive, so I'm sure some people rented it and had a good enough time playing it. That's very much an early 90s video game. Like a 2D brawler with attitude. You know, 2 crude dudes, basically. Actually, what was the game? Was it just called 2 Crude in the arcade? I mean, they probably should have just called it Bad Dudes 2. I tend to believe it would have sold more. In fact, I think Data East ended up they ended up licensing all their ROMs to like some weird AtGames like company. You know how AtGames made a bunch of Sega Genesis emulators? Like they were like Sega Genesis Minis, only the emulation was very bad and apparently the sound was terrible. But I think what they did is that they just got Sega to license those ROMs and they made these really crappy like Android emulators and they took some really crappy Genesis emulators for the Android and they put it on those little crappy devices and they didn't even bother working on the audio emulation very much. So I guess they were like systems on a chip. But you know what these mini consoles are, right? they're basically like Raspberry Pis with Android on them, or maybe like some Linux, maybe some flavor of Linux is on them. But I want to say they have some variant of Android on them, and they'll put I want to say their ARM chips. But basically, if you think about it, they're basically just like they're smartphones. These mini consoles, for all intents and purposes, they're like smartphone CPUs, right? With some RAM, and they'll put like an SD card, or they'll put some kind of like flash memory on there, and they'll like put an emulator that will set up the menu, and then you can run the ROMs. But if we're being honest, you can run if you like a lot of those Genesis ROMs are already on Steam. Like you can buy them on Steam. I got like Alien Soldier and Streets of Rage 2 on Steam because Sega was giving them away. It was like a Valentine's Day present where I think if people played like one of those Creative Assembly real-time strategy games, I forgot which one it was. I forgot what those games were called. What were they called? What were those creative? Yeah, Total War. I think if people on Steam played like some Total War game, some game of the Total War series for like 1,000 hours or something, like if the cumulative number of hours played exceeded some arbitrary value, Sega promised to like give everyone on Steam a free copy of some old Genesis games. So like I got, as part of the package, I think I got like Revenge of Shinobi and Streets of Rage 2 and Alien Soldier, which I could probably pull out sometime. But people who know, these are not like fancy games like in some fancy emulator. Like they are literally just a heat pump. They are literally just ROMs. They're just ROM dumps. So like if you're like me and you were in university and you just discovered what a Genesis emulator was, you already have ROMs like Streets of Rage 2 and Strider, Golden Axe 3, but if you go on Steam, I want to say those very same ROM dumps are available right there on Steam. But that was Sega's thing, is that for a while, like back in 2010, I think, they realized that they had a bunch of these ROM dumps, and all they had to do was just repackage them with an emulator that can be played on modern consoles. Because we know the games work. The game is there. You just need an emulator that will run on a relatively modern PC or a relatively modern console, and you can sell it. Like that's what the Sega Genesis Classic Collection was. It was a bunch of ROM dumps with an emulator that had pretty high input latency, as I recall. Like I played Sega Genesis Classics on the PS4, and I own it on the Xbox One. I need to pull that out again because I was gonna play Shadow Dancer again. But yeah, I can confirm the input latency is pretty bad. Because I used to own Shadow Dancer on the original hardware. I played Shadow Dancer on the Sega Genesis. The input latency was a lot faster, obviously, on the original hardware. So I got used to certain, like, when I was playing the bonus stage, you know, when you're, like, falling down the skyscraper. let me power up one of my weapons. Power up the Y button, I guess. Hold L and press Y, and that's powered up now. What does that do? I don't know. The game doesn't show me what happened. So I'm using the D-pad, but that doesn't help me any. But yeah, but that's the thing though. Like, if you have a laptop and an emulator, you can take those same ROMs that you bought off of Steam and play them if you want. But I guess if nothing else, it's just a way for you to like legally purchase ROMs that you can then use to like play on other emulators. Like I forgot who it was, but it's like someone on Twitter figured out that, oh yeah, all these games in the Mega Man Legacy collection that I bought, oh, they're just repackaged versions of the ROMs that were the old NES ROMs. So I think what happened is that I think they like ripped them somehow. They took the executable and like ripped it or something. I don't know what they did, but they extracted the data from the program, from the .exe file or whatever. I pressed ZL to get my health back. There we go. So I used one of my potions. I have 4 left. You see on the bottom of the screen where it says ZL? It says ×4, but you can barely read that. The text is so impossible to read. But it's on a cooldown. I want to say every 10 seconds I can heal myself if I have a healing charge left. But at some point, like I said, I don't play ROMs on this channel because what I do is I play commercially available versions of these games. Because I mean, because look, I made this distinction a long time ago. I said some games, even if you have the ROMs and the emulators, the games will just play differently on different computers. That's just how it is. Like if I play, I don't personally. When I play games on this channel, I'm trying to figure out how I feel about them as games. Like if you buy this game and you play it on this console, this is how it will perform. Obviously, with PC games, there's some variability there because PC games aren't guaranteed to provide you the same experience. You know, like a game that runs extremely well on one computer might run at suboptimal frame rates on other computers. You know, it's just how PCs are. Whereas if you buy a game, if you buy this game on the Switch, it will play the same on every Switch you own, as long as you have a patch, I guess. But the idea is that if you buy this game, this is how it will play on your Switch. But when I play PC games, obviously there's some variability, but I give people some baseline. So if I play a game like this on my laptop, okay, I tell people, like, this is how fast my laptop is, this is how much memory it has. So if it runs this well on my budget laptop, it will probably run better on your laptop. Again, it's a baseline. But I don't play ROMs in this channel because I try to provide, I try to be somewhat informational about the games that I play. So it's like, yeah, if I'm gonna judge Grandy, I'm gonna judge it based on a commercially available version that you can buy, like in a store or something, using original hardware or some readily available hardware that anyone can buy. Like, so if I'm playing Grandia or Vagrant Story on a PlayStation 3, or Ace Combat 2 is a perfect example. This is how Ace Combat 2 will look on a PlayStation 3, on a fat PlayStation 3. So all my videos of Ace Combat 2 are based on that idea that if you buy Ace Combat 2 on a disc and put it in your PlayStation 3, this is how it will play. And I think that's a reasonable way to judge a game, because I don't have a PlayStation 1 anymore. And I mean, I've played Final Fantasy Tactics on this channel before using the PlayStation 3. I'm like, it runs fine. It's just some of the music just seems off. Like when you switch jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics, the music will hitch a little bit. Like it's imperfect. So this is an emulation bug, obviously. But the whole point is that the game still holds up via this emulation. But obviously, if I were playing that game on an emulator, I'd be playing that game on a specific version of an emulator on a specific PC that may or may not play the game the same way on your PC. So, I mean, I'm probably overthinking it, but there are games where it's like, yeah, I was wondering where the blob went. But there are games where it's like, you know what, if the emulation's not right, some of the random elements might not work properly. I don't think I need health. I mean, I could just use some health. I just kind of wanted to save my health charges. I might need them later, so we'll see how it goes. Because I've died in the past because I forget to heal myself. I'm trying to think of a game that played significantly different from the original game. Well, I mean, there are a few examples. Like, I played the Cowabunga collection on this channel recently, and I was playing Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, and there was a feature in the original cartridge game where you could map the special attack to a single button press, which meant there are several moves in that game that are way easier to pull off on the original Super NES game. But when you play it on the Cowabunga collection, that feature is not available. So special moves have to be performed with simultaneous button presses, which isn't terrible, but it makes the game less easy than it was in the past, because the game was stupid easy on the Super NES. Hold on, I gotta do a... There we go. Boom. Okay, I had to clear the room a little bit. I mean, I could use a dash attack, but that's not even an attack, is it? It's just a dash. 10% chance when receiving damage to shoot a wind blade. So if someone attacks me, there's a 10% chance I might counter with a wind blade, so whatever. There isn't much loot in this game. I'll say this, there isn't much loot in this game, which is good for people who don't like, sorting through trash, which is what a lot of these loot games do. They give you a lot of trash you spend like half an hour sorting through. This game is just a straight shot, it seems like. There is loot, but there's not as much. But it's probably easier to manage, so I'm sort of curious how people will feel about that. But I know a lot of people who are like old school, like Diablo fans, and they like their loot, so they're probably not going to be a fan of this. But as an action RPG, I think it's fine. Like, it seems fine. It's just that it's not a game about hoarding loot. Okay, I got to heal myself. Give me a second. ZL. There we go. Let me whittle down this mob a little bit. Yeah, that spinning sword is not very strong. Okay, I need to heal. Wow, that was just in time, dog. Yeah, I need to heal. Okay, wow. Yeah, that one guy. That one guy is bad news. Well, that was the second video for what's his name? Gerb over. This is the easy mode, by the way. So I want to say everyone else is locked. So she's locked until I defeat a boss, I want to say. Yeah. Lady on the left is blocked until I get something. Until I get a Buddha relic. When do I get it? No idea. She's locked until I can figure out what's behind her cat. Let me go back a bit. Okay, I'm trying to move my cursor right to the start game option before she throws that cat out. Obtained after obtaining. I can't see what she. Get the dumb cat out the way. Okay, maybe that's a bit easier. Can I switch to another person? Unlock after completing the game on hard. Unlock after completing the game with this. Unlocked after completing the game with this. What? This what? Bring back the bat. There we go. Unlocked after obtaining the pages of Hushiyan. So the problem is I can't see the stupid thing because there's stupid staffs in the way. Jeez. So it's pages. Yeah, so now I can read it. So I have to race the character the canned animation cycle so I can see how to unlock this freaking character. And she's unlocked, so we'll play as her later, I guess. Okay, so again, I need to make some progress. We'll see how it goes later, but I do want to play more of this game. It's just I've died twice. I might try again, but where am I in the story? Evasion increase. So I'm getting some permanent upgrades. But it's just crappy critical hit damage nonsense. So I didn't get anything else. Did I get anything else that might be useful for these characters? So I probably need to unlock her stuff. Yeah, I didn't unlock any story abilities for her. Oh well. What else do we have up here? Just a second. Unlocked after completing the game with this. Unlocked after completing the game on hard. He used whatever. Back. He didn't explain why common people could harness it. Okay, that's not very helpful. So these are just cosmetic changes, right? Doesn't change the skills at all. Yeah, the skills are completely the same. All right, so we'll come back and play more of this game later, I guess. So this is my second Yuan Ziyu. I'm butchering the name. I apologize. Yuan Ziyu. So that's easy mode video number 2.